Welcome to this edition of Morgan You Asked For podcast. A day early, Tuesday night. Tomorrow night, going to watch a friend's son play basketball up at the state tournament. We did on Monday morning as well. Carroll Tigers moved on in the first round, and they will play the number one seed Ballard Bombers tomorrow at 5:30. So I won't quite make it back in time for the podcast tomorrow night. So Trevor, it worked out. We could go tonight. And it actually works out. The Hawkeyes and Cyclones play tomorrow morning. So we're going to start with that. NFL free agency is tomorrow afternoon as well. That's when the people really start signing and everything officially. They've already agreed to everything. So tomorrow's a busy day, so we can kind of preview all that here tonight on Morgan You Asked For podcast. Those of you that do follow us on social media, I did put out Trevor's latest mock draft on Twitter, on Facebook, and Instagram. I don't know. It all kind of works together there. So if you do follow us on any of those, make sure you comment, make fun of Trev if you don't like it, whatever. We appreciate that. Or if you think you did really well, put that up there as well. But we do appreciate everything. And this is going to be a big week. And we're going to talk about this kind of at the end of the show. But we are planning to do a show Sunday night after Selection Sunday. And then most likely Tuesday or Wednesday next week. And we'll make our official NCAA tournament picks. So who's going to go to the Final Four? Who's going to win the national championship? Some surprises, everything else like that. And then obviously we'll have, semi-regular shows during the NCAA tournament. If something really crazy happens, we always reserve the right to go. But normal, Tuesday, Wednesday night shows, because obviously tournament's Thursday through Sunday each week. So that will be good. Next week is spring break for me. I don't know exactly what I'm doing, but if I go anywhere, I'll take the computer and microphone. It'll be easy to do it. I might be the one from a hotel room next week, Trev. That's all right.
Yeah, that'll work fine. And also, congrats to Carroll, our friend Tyler Tassel, for his son moving on in the basketball tournament, and especially taking down Pella. That made it even better.
Yeah, that's what. So I was sitting on the Carroll side with Zach and TJ, and then my two kids are standing in the student section over on the Pella side. So it was weird, and I could see. I was texting one buddy over there, and he's like, "What are you doing?" I'm like, "Well, one of my best friend's son is playing for Carroll." So I was over there. I was pretty, if you ask TJ, I was pretty impartial. I wanted everybody to do well, and it ended up about exactly how I wanted. I don't think you're in this chat, but I even said I wanted Trey to hit like a game-winning shot or whatever, and he actually made the two clinching free throws because Pella hit a shot at the buzzer. They were down 4, so it didn't matter. But they actually won it 1 by 1, and Trey went 2 for 2 in the last, 15 seconds or so to seal it for Carroll. So he played real well. They're really good. Unfortunately, they're playing tomorrow at 5:30 against Ballard. They're really, really, really good. It's gonna take something special for them to win that game. But crazier things happen, and you're in the semifinals of the state tournament, so you're not going to get an easy game, and you play well and you hit some timely shots, you got a chance.
Yeah, that's awesome for his son to hit those free throws. Those are big, as you mentioned. If he hadn't hit those, who knows what could have happened. So that's a special memory for them. And yeah, it's basketball heavy right now. Obviously, NFL free agency that you mentioned, some other topics that we're going to get into. But I think you said you wanted to get started with basketball tonight.
Yeah. So tomorrow morning, you need the split screen TV at work, wherever you're at. Cyclones play at 11:30 against Arizona State, which will be back-to-back games for Iowa State against Arizona State. They just played Saturday. Iowa State was down 4 at half, but then went on a 24-0 run and took control and then just kind of coast to the win there, about a 20-point win Saturday afternoon to close out Taman Lipsey's career, which I want to give a shout-out to him. Most wins ever by a player at Hilton Coliseum, 61 wins. I think he only lost like 5 or 6 games, I think, at Hilton. Not the best percentage because I'm pretty sure I know Jamal Tinsley never lost at Hilton Coliseum. Now, that was only 2 years, but he never lost. Now, I don't know how many games he actually won, but Jamal Tinsley never lost at Hilton, which that was super impressive. Iowa State, I think, only lost one game at Hilton each of the last 2 years. Maybe 2 last year. But I know this year was just the one game against Texas Tech. So big game there. Arizona is coming off a good win over Baylor today. It has been reported now that Bobby Hurley will not be back to Arizona State. So they're playing for their coach. They're trying to do the best they can. Obviously, this is their only chance to get into the NCAA tournament, is to make a Cinderella run to the Big 12 championship so they could get into the tournament. Iowa State, if they play the way they know how, they turn them over. They forced 23 turnovers Saturday. They do that again, they will win, and win relatively easy, and then get that rematch against Texas Tech, which the way it worked out, I really like. We're on the top side, so we're playing in the morning. That stinks. It stinks for Kansas City economy, kind of, because now you played 11:30. Now everybody gets out of the game at 1:30 or 2 and can go eat and drink all day in Kansas City. But Kansas City is begging Iowa State to win that game. We want Iowa State to win that game, go beat Texas Tech, which will be, I think, Texas Tech. I want that game again. I think Iowa State is a better team than Texas Tech. They need to prove it. They need to get that monkey off their back, and then they can go play Arizona in the semis. If you get to the semis and you play Arizona, depending on how everything else goes, you are potential a 2 seed. If you beat Arizona and get to the finals, I think you are a 2 seed. But right now they're a 3 seed. They lose tomorrow. I don't think they would drop to a 4, but it's in play. And I don't like that at all. I want to be a 3 seed. I'd love to be a 2 seed. But 3 seeds very much in play. Win tomorrow. I want win that game against Texas Tech, and then Arizona is what it is. They're a really good team. They are one of 2 or 3 teams that can win the whole thing. And I'd like to have it in a neutral environment, kind of, because if Iowa State is playing Friday afternoon/evening in Kansas City against Arizona, it's not going to be very partial. It's going to be very partial to Iowa State. So it's going to be great atmosphere. Hopefully Iowa State can get there. That's what I'm hoping.
Yeah, Iowa State needs to take care of business tomorrow, as you mentioned, and then obviously put up a good fight against Texas Tech. They're flirting with that 2-3 right now. So obviously it would be ideal if they can win 2 games in the tournament, and then, as you mentioned, most likely going to play Arizona. If you can put up a good fight, if it's a 4 or 5 point game, even if it's a loss, then you can still move up to that 2 seed. But first and foremost, take care of business tomorrow. That's a team that, as you mentioned, they're playing for their coach, and they got off to a lead against you. So they do have a little bit of confidence and belief that they get it done. So you don't want to, and the players aren't looking ahead, but take care of business. And then hopefully, as you mentioned, Friday afternoon, Friday night, Kansas City's got a bunch of Iowa State fans coming down.
Yeah, if you're Kansas City, you want Iowa State and Kansas both playing in the 2 semifinals. Kansas is a 3 seed, and they are on the bottom, so they wouldn't play each other. And then dream case scenario, Saturday afternoon, evening, Kansas, Iowa State. I mean, that's your dream scenario if you're Kansas City. And that play, it would be one expensive ticket. I don't have school on Friday. We have some mutual friends heading down to Kansas City Wednesday, which is, obviously they're probably they might even be on their way tonight to get to the game tomorrow. If they're playing Friday, I don't have school. If Carroll would happen to lose, if Carroll wins, they play Friday. I'll stay back and I'll watch Carroll. I'll play for a state championship on Friday. If they lose, there is maybe a chance I run down to Kansas City for a semifinal game against Arizona.
I don't blame you for either of those. So no matter what, on Friday, you're going somewhere to watch some basketball.
Most likely, or sometimes it's just really nice to sit in your house and watch it too.
No, there you go. No, Iowa State's they really need to finish strong here, and as we mentioned, at worst case, hopefully stay at that 3, but ideally move back up to a 2 seed like they were just not too long ago.
All right, now let's, so that's kind of the Big 12 tournament. Houston's a 2, Kansas is 3. Those teams are all really, really good. Any of them could win it. I don't see anybody really outside of the top 5, maybe 6 teams. BYU is interesting because they have the best player. So you always have a chance when you have the best player on the floor. So they're kind of the outside chance in, a double-digit seed that could make a run. They need to do it to improve their NCAA tournament seed, maybe. We're going to talk about that with Iowa here in a little bit. Maybe you do want to be lower. Again, you're going to have the best player on the floor, and you can go upset some teams in the NCAA tournament if you get that right seed. Let's move to – I do think Arizona wins the tournament. I think it will be Arizona versus Houston. And I think it'll be one heck of a dogfight. But I just think Arizona, if they are committed to winning this tournament, which there is something to be said, maybe they won't be. If someone's got a little bit of a tweaked ankle, if someone has a little bit of it doesn't matter, and they're in the semis, and they're like, well, we're going to rest him, or we're not going to play him normal just because we're a 1 seed no matter what. If they lose on Thursday, they might not be a lock, but if they get to the semis or they would get to the finals, they're a lock for a 1 seed. I really think they're a lock no matter what. And so I could see them not playing all their guys, all the minutes, just because it really doesn't matter. I don't know if that's true or not. And we've also seen how much that this NCAA tournament or Big 12 tournament not matter that much. Iowa State just a couple of years ago beat Houston by 30 in the final. Houston was a 1 seed. Iowa State didn't move up to a 2. They stayed a 3. So how much do these tournaments really matter? We don't know. Each committee is a little bit different. Let's go to Iowa. So, again, the split screen. They played 11 o'clock tomorrow morning against Maryland. They played Maryland twice. They've split. Maryland is not a great basketball team. One of Iowa's worst losses on the year. I expect them to win. But here's the question with Iowa, and I want to hear this from an Iowa fan and maybe a little bit of an outsider. They've lost 3 in a row. They lost to Penn State, and then they lost to an excellent Michigan team, which is on that same discussion as Arizona. They're most likely a 1 seed no matter what. They're a team that can win the national championship. So and it was a heck of a ball game. That loss doesn't hurt at all. But then they go to Nebraska and get beaten overtime. Again, very good team, probably going to be a 3 seed in the NCAA tournament, top 10 team-ish. I think they ended up being 11. But 2 of the losses, not bad. 1 horrible loss against Penn State, the worst team in the Big Ten. However, Iowa right now is in the 8-9 line situation. They've lost 3 in a row. Losing tomorrow to Maryland, would they drop to that 10 or 11? And would that be actually better? Because then you don't play a Duke in the second round, an Arizona in the second round. You get that. If you drop to the 10, you get a 2 seed. You get a Houston, or maybe you get a Florida, something like that. Or if you would drop all the way to an 11, then you're getting a 3 seed, a team like you wouldn't play Nebraska, but it'd be a team like Iowa State. I don't think it's the worst thing in the world to drop. I don't think you want any part of Duke. However, Duke has now 2 starters a little bit hurt. I don't know if they're just sitting them out for the conference tournament week or if they're a little bit more hurt than they're letting on. But the 8-9 game is really, really difficult to advance to the Sweet 16.
Well, right now, Joe Lunardi's got him down to a 10 seed playing Kentucky. Okay. So he's got him down to a 10 already.
Okay. Yeah. So you need to win this game then. And I'm not saying that thinking they will lose. I do think they will beat Maryland tomorrow. Then you're talking it's going to be dogfight from there on out. There's a lot of good teams in the Big Ten, but Lunardi's already got him as a 10, so that's perfect. You're going to play if you win that 7-10 game, UConn. Then you're playing. Yeah, it's UConn, and they're good, but they can get beat too. I mean, we've seen it. They got beat by Marquette. They got beat by Creighton. Those 2 teams are not that good. The Big East is not good this year as a whole. UConn is very good, but they can be beat. And Iowa just showed it overtime against the 3 seed. really, really close to, against Michigan. They beat Nebraska earlier, who's essentially a 3-seed type team in a one-game setting. Again, Bennett Sturtz is one of the best players in the country. He controls the game. You saw him last year at Drake beat Missouri. And then they gave Texas Tech a real fight until the very end, and it kind of got out of hand a little bit. But you give these guys chances. Iowa's a team, like if Iowa State gets a 3 and somehow Iowa's in that same deal, I don't want to see Iowa. Iowa made it a really good game at Hilton this year. Iowa's a tough matchup.
Iowa feels like they're really close right now. The game against Michigan, the game against Nebraska, it doesn't feel like they're far off. So they need to win tomorrow, and then I'd like to see them win against Ohio State in the next round. Mm-hmm. And then, of course, it'd be Michigan after that. But I'd like to see them at least get 2 wins in the tournament just to have some momentum going into March Madness. And then, you face Michigan again for that third matchup, I believe it would be, and you see how you fare there. But they need to get a couple wins just to get some confidence back under their belts. And, if that means you get back in that 8-9 seed, then I guess it is what it is. But Iowa's close. They're not far off from being a team that could potentially be one of those teams that upsets a 2-seed or a 3-seed out there.
Yeah, they're close, and they're so close. And if their guys hit shots like the last few minutes against Nebraska, Combs hit the shot to force overtime. They made some really good plays. They were down about 10 points with 4 or 5 minutes left and played really good basketball. And Sturtz did not have a great game against Nebraska. Nebraska put all their effort in stopping Sturtz, kind of letting other people try to win the game for him. And Iowa gave him one heck of an opportunity to.
Yeah, well, definitely wasn't one of Sturtz's best games scoring-wise. And, it was an impressive effort that they put on there at Nebraska. So, I'm interested to see how they do in the Big Ten tournament. Got to take care of the first game tomorrow morning, see how you do versus Ohio State. And then, of course, after that, it's a dogfight, Michigan, Illinois. And then, of course, again, you're probably looking at Nebraska, Michigan State, or Purdue coming through on that bottom half of the bracket. So if Iowa was to go on a run, it'd be a heck of an end to the regular season in the tournament. But take care of business tomorrow. Hopefully, win against Ohio State. Get a couple victories under your belt, and like I said, just have some momentum. And if it means you go the 8-9, then it is what it is. And 8 and 9 they have beaten 1 seed before, so it's not impossible.
No, I think I saw that it's like 16% chance that 8 or 9 seeds win that. So it's if you go up to the 10 seed, it's like 22% or something. It's still not good, but it is better. Who do you think? I do think Michigan or Michigan State will win that tournament. I think those are the 2 best teams in the Big Ten, and I would really love to watch that again. Because did you see Michigan beat Michigan State pretty good this last weekend? And Dusty May is already in Tom Izzo's head. He's turned that rivalry around real quickly after the Juwan Howard situation, and Izzo's already like, we aren't little brothers to anybody, which means you feel like you're the little brother already again.
Yeah, he's definitely changed that fast. You could hear the crowd chanting that, and that's awesome. That makes rivalries good. Illinois, I think Illinois is the team that can maybe sneak through. They're a 4 seed. They're really good. Maybe they could pull the upset and end up winning the Big Ten tournament. But, Michigan's got to be the favorite.
Yeah. All right. Next on the list here, Zach Bryan concert. Went to the opening show in St. Louis. Now, one thing people that listen to know we're both huge Zach Bryan fans. I think I figured out this is the 8th time I've watched him. We went and saw him years ago in small, before they redid it, Val Ballroom in Des Moines. I think it was only like $50, maybe even less than that to get into that show. I've seen him in, obviously, the Dome at St. Louis, which was, I think it said it holds like 80,000 people. Now, I would say like 50 or 60,000 people were there. And I've seen him at Wells Fargo. Well, Casey's Center now is Wells Fargo when it was there. I've seen him at the CHI Center in Omaha. I've seen him at the Pentagon in Sioux Falls. I've seen him at Hinterland, which is an outside setting. And I've seen him at West Fair Amphitheater, which is like Hinterland in Council Bluffs. So I've seen him in a lot of different venues. He's very, very good at all of them. And I'm sure you've seen it, heard it. He played from 9 o'clock until about 11:40 straight, with just he walked back and came back in for revival like he always does. Like 33 songs, great mix of new and old. I was a little bit, I'm not going to say worried because I knew he was going to put on a great show, but I didn't know how he would do it. And I knew going in, he's got enough great songs now that I know going in, I'm not going to hear all my favorite songs. I know that. Now, one that I was pleasantly surprised, he did play something in the Orange. I know on the last tour that I went and watched, there was something about it. I think he even said he didn't like playing it or didn't want to play it. He did play that. He came out to the same opening song as he did last tour. That was, we had that discussion. Overtime, it's a great opening song. Then he did Open the Gate, which he was the tour before that opener. Then he played Appetite, and that was your pick for the opener. Just a great show. He puts on a fabulous show. I don't care how many times you've seen him. It's just great, and being live and his enthusiasm, just what he does on that stage, and you've seen it a lot of times too, Trev. He's phenomenal. I will continue to go see him. I know he's coming to Lincoln, Nebraska at the end of April. If it works out, we may go watch him again.
Well, I may see you there because that'll be the show I'll be going to. That'll be my 7th, I believe. So you're just a little bit ahead of me. But yeah, no, that's 32 or 33 songs. I think last year he was doing about 22 to 23 songs on most of his nights. So he's added 8 to 10 songs, give or take. Yep. Hopefully he continues that. I'm hoping for 30 plus when he comes to Lincoln, because it looked like he played almost most of the songs off the new album, which I was happy about. And Appetite, that was kind of my prediction. If he was going to have a new opener, it would be that. But I'm also not surprised that he kept it with Overtime and Open the Gate, because those are back to back. Those are two pretty good ones to start the show with.
Oh, absolutely. And then Appetite was the first new song, and he did he played. He's just great. His band is really great. He's got a lot more people. He's got a whole horn section now and a string section. There's like 20 people on stage at all times now. For the most part, it's a full-blown production. The opener was good. J.R. Carroll's good. He's obviously part of the band, Normal. So he's there the whole show essentially. And then Camp opened, was the actual band in front of him. And they're good. They're straight out of Hinterland. They're from Ohio. They were good. I liked them a lot.
No, that's awesome. How was downtown St. Louis? Did you go anywhere good to eat? We're thinking about maybe doing a family vacation there this summer potentially.
We did not. So we drove in Saturday morning. We just left, and we got there. And where the Dome, I mean, you know St. Louis a little bit, don't you? The Dome's north of kind of downtown, right across from the casino. So like Ballpark Village and all those places are a little ways south. Now, if we would have got there earlier, by the time we got there, there were already people standing in line when we drove by the Dome to get to our hotel. And so we just had a couple beers, and then we went over into the concert. We were there, started at 7. We were probably there at 6:30. So we're like, well, we could go to a bar or something, but it's just going to be packed because we weren't there early enough to, get there at like 3 o'clock to go get a good spot and order food and everything else like that. So we chose not to. We drank beers and sang songs, and then we went back to the hotel, and we were only a 3-minute walk to our hotel, and it was fun. We don't get too crazy. So.
No, that's great. If you guys come to Lincoln show, that's NFL draft weekend. So
is it?
That's that Thursday and Friday. I'll really be into the draft. Of course, Saturday I'll have to miss some of it, but that's all right. I can handle missing it. But yeah, no, going to the Lincoln show, looking forward to it, and that's awesome. You guys, I figured you had a good time, and yeah, I saw the set list come out not long after the show was over, so I kind of got to see all the songs that you guys got to see. So I was pretty happy to see most of the songs from the new album.
Yeah, and the new album is great. There's, like I really like Oklahoma City. It's one of his oldest songs. He doesn't play it at concerts very often. I mean, it's kind of he'll pull it out every now and again. You hear about it getting played, but I knew going in, I'm not hearing that song. And there were others. I didn't think we'd hear something in the orange because I've been to several shows recently where he doesn't play it. But he did. It was great. I encourage anybody to go see him. He just puts on a great show. There's a friends of mine that are going to Tampa for spring break, and he's there this week or next week, whatever, and they're going to go see him in Tampa at the Buccaneer Stadium. So
that'll be great. Enjoy some warm weather. Go to a concert. And no, that's if anybody hasn't been, definitely recommend going. It's a heck of a show, and it's a fun time.
All right, now it is your time to shine, Trev. NFL free agent mock draft time. Officially, free agency or the new league starts tomorrow at 3:00. Correct.
Correct.
So that's when all the contracts terminate, and the new ones can begin. So everything you've heard or seen so far is not official, correct?
Yeah, well, right before we got on,
yes, I'd say
the Ravens
that's what I was getting
the
at.
Max Crosby trade, so that's pretty rare for a trade of that magnitude. I mean, it's people aren't even sure what's going to happen. The Raiders are now going to be hit with $30 million against their cap. They've already potentially signed Linderbaum.
Yep.
It's weird for the Ravens too, because if they hadn't made this trade, there was a chance that they would have tried to re-sign Linderbaum.
Yep.
And now he's at the Raiders. If you're the Raiders, though, you'd almost hope to keep him. I mean, obviously, because now you've got Max back on the pass rushing side. They spent a lot of money. I actually liked everything that they were doing in free agency. But, yeah, this is a monkey wrench that we don't typically see. I mean, sometimes you hear it with smaller name players, but it's not as big of a deal. A trade of this magnitude, it just came out of left field. And Max Crosby was actually at the Ravens facility today meeting, and I think they broke the news to him in person. So they had to have some major concerns if he was already there in the building, and then they have to go and tell him, hey, we're backing out of the trade. You're going back to the Raiders. That had to be pretty rough for everybody.
Yeah, so I think I saw where it's knee issues. Is that the real story, or is that just what they're saying?
No, he had meniscus surgery, and he's had out the last few games at the end of last season. He wasn't real happy about it. A lot of people were getting on the Raiders for it. Well, now we understand why. There were concerns with his knees. So it came up during the physical. I don't think it's anything more than that. Like I said, he was already in the facility. So this is just one of those rare bad situations all around. I mean, I think the Ravens are ticked off. The Raiders are. I'm sure Max Crosby's, livid. Yeah. I think he put out like a 13-minute video thanking the Raiders and talking to the new Baltimore fans a couple days ago. So he was excited. It's a rough situation all around.
So do you think now that he will play for the Raiders, or will they find a new trade partner?
Well, the Dallas Cowboys are interested again, but the Raiders are not going to get 2 first-round picks because of this injury concern. Now your draft capital has gone down, and then you start having questions of how's our cap situation look with him back on the team, and do we just want to keep him? Because he loves the Raiders, so maybe he'll look at it as it was meant to be, and he'll stick with the Raiders and try to help Mendoza and this new crew come and turn the team around. But if they do trade him, they're not going to get what they got for the Ravens.
I 100% agree. Now, one other super question mark I have is the Tua situation. He is getting released, but he is not getting released till June 1st, or is that just officially because of cap monies, space, whatever? But it is a $99 million hit to the Dolphins. They must really not want him there.
Yeah, it'll be the largest cap hit in history, and they could either have done that or split up into 2 years. They're just ripping the Band-Aid off now, which I think is the correct call. But just get it done and over with. The past 4 or 5 seasons, teams that have had the biggest cap hit have actually made the playoffs. The Broncos had that Russell Wilson one, and they made the playoffs with Bo Nix's rookie season. There's been some others, but yeah, with Tua, just rip the Band-Aid off, let him move on. They signed Malik Willis, which they actually got him a little bit cheaper than I thought they would per year average, so it didn't end up being too bad. But yeah, Tua is going to go to the Falcons. Now the Falcons have 2 left-handed quarterbacks and 2 quarterbacks that can't stay healthy.
Yeah, so I just see Penix and Tua being like the same guy.
Except one's a giant and one's small.
Right, but just they're hurt or left-handed. I saw a thing where they had Tua in one of those huge Guardian caps, 3 or 4 of them big. It's just, what are the Falcons thinking?
Well, Penix has an injury. I mean, his ACL, I think it's his third of his career.
Yeah.
And he was really up and down last season. He didn't show enough to prove that he was a legit starter. So they need a backup. And the reason they're going to get Tua on the cheap because the Dolphins are paying a ton of money. So he's going to come in for a minimal amount. He's left-handed. He's accurate when he's healthy. And Kevin Stefanski's probably just thinking we need a backup. And literally Penix might play 10 games and Tua might play 7 or vice versa. I'm sure it's going to be a mix. And I wouldn't be surprised at the end of next season if neither is the guy moving forward. And the Falcons are looking for another quarterback in the 2027 draft.
All right, the other quarterbacks that are on the move, Kyler Murray, going to end up in Minnesota, it looks like. Is that correct?
More than likely, because the Dolphins got their quarterback. He's not going back to Arizona, and the Jets got Geno Smith again, which is a full circle.
Yeah, that's
there's two teams. It's the Vikings and the Steelers, and I've got a quarterback that I think the Steelers are looking at that I don't know if the national media is talking about, and it's not Kyler Murray. Do you want to guess who it is?
The Steelers are looking at him?
Yep. He happens to play for your Bears.
Oh, the backup, Badgett?
Tyson Bagent.
Yeah.
They're because they signed Case Keenum to a deal today, and Bagent's getting paid. He signed that. Remember when he signed that 2-year extension? I think it was. He was all emotional about it because his family had never had that money. I think the Steelers organization, the fans would love him for a year to see how it goes. He could compete with Will Howard. So, in the coming days between now and the draft, look for Tyson Bagent to maybe be traded to the Steelers.
Would that be just not that is that the Bears doing right by him and trying to just get some draft capital? Is that really would that be? Is that what they're doing there?
Yeah, I mean, because Caleb proved throughout the season that he is officially the guy. I think they did that as a little bit of an insurance policy because there was lots of rumors coming out in training camp that Caleb was struggling. Right. So I think they did that as an insurance policy. Well, Caleb proved he's going to be a legit franchise quarterback. Yeah. They signed Case Keenum to a deal today or yesterday. So there's your backup. And so, you can trade him, do right by him, get a draft pick, and send him to Pittsburgh where he'll probably start most of the season and, see how that goes, but at least gives him an opportunity.
Yeah, and that's good. You want to – people have done right by you and your organization. Backup quarterbacks, you have to do – you can't be a headache. And I heard a great analogy, and this is a whole different – when we're kind of out of this, but, Cyclones just cut gymnastics. And I heard a great analogy on one of the podcasts I was listening to this morning. Gymnastics and other non-revenue sports, they're like a backup quarterback. You can't be a headache. You are losing money, and that's a guarantee. The only sports that make money are football and basketball. All the other sports lose money. You can't be a headache to the university. And it seemed like the gymnastics program was a headache to Iowa State. So they said, heck with it. We're done with it. Just like a backup quarterback. If you're a headache, they will cut you because they will sign someone else to be the backup. And I thought that was a really good thing. And Badgett has proven that he can play okay when he's been called upon, but he's never going to be a quarterback in Chicago on a basis unless Caleb gets hurt. So, and that would be right by the Bears organization to send him to a place where he can fight for the starting job.
Yeah, no, that's a great example there. And, they lost a draft pick because they sent it to the Patriots for the center. So with Dalton retiring unexpectedly, so maybe they'd like to get another draft pick back going into the draft. I think most of their draft picks are going to be on defense, but I do think that they need to spend at least one pick on the O-line, maybe 2, and then maybe one receiver / running back late in the draft. But I don't know how many picks they have off the top of my head. If they have 8, I would say at least 5 or 6 on defense and maybe 2 on offense.
Yeah. I would have to look as well, but the Bears with that center retiring, which David Kaplan comes on a couple of the shows I listened to, and they said, was it a surprise? Yes. Was it a complete and utter surprise? No. And the other thing is he did right by the Bears as well by retiring now instead of waiting till training camp. I'll realize that my body I don't want to do this. My body hurts. and then retiring in August when you can't replace him adequately. I mean, obviously there's people you can sign, but you can't prepare in free agency and prepare in the draft knowing you need a center. You're looking on, practice squads, who's potentially a trade. In August, it's way worse than it is right now. So he did do right by the Bears by doing it now, at least.
Yeah, definitely, for sure. It gave the Bears some time to make the trade that they did, of course, where they could have went into the draft and took a center at some point. So he did right by him. If you're going to have a guy retire, you want it to be when he did. That way you've got plenty of time in free agency, the draft, and to make trades. So the Bears did okay. They downgraded just a tad at center, but they still got a guy that's a quality starter, so they're not scrambling. I mean, in the NFL, you're not gonna be great everywhere, but you don't want to have a massive hole where you're just weak. Right. And he's a plug and play center, so they did pretty good given the circumstances.
Yeah, that's what definitely a downgrade, and that's what Kaplan said too. But maybe in the long run they can get better on the outside to help.
Definitely could. A few more free agents that have signed. Obviously, Kenneth Walker to the Chiefs.
Yep.
I think they know that Jeremiah Love's not going to be there. And then we saw the Saints today pick up Travis Etienne from the Jaguars. They're both thinking the same thing. Let's just get our running back now. That way we've got it taken care of. Tyler Linderbaum that we spoke about, went to the Raiders. And Brock Purdy's got a new weapon in San Francisco with Mike Evans.
Yeah, except for, in the middle of the season or whatever, it's always going to be a few games there where he's that's just what he is. He's a veteran. He knows how to play. He will help them in the long run. The other one was, didn't Pachinko go to Detroit?
Yeah, he's going to be their backup, but he's basically a wash player ever since his leg injury. I mean, he can spill Gibbs for 4 or 5 carries a game, I guess, but I think Gibbs is going to have a monster fantasy season next year because he's going to get 20-plus touches a game rushing and receiving.
Yeah, he's your get the ball to him anyway possible, kind of like a Breece Hall situation where you can throw it out to him and he can go 75 yards. Gibbs is the same type of player, even better.
Yeah, Gibbs is going to have a monster season, assuming that they can get their offensive line. They brought in a couple guys to hopefully get that fixed. And, yeah, Brian Thomas Jr. is on the trade block, rumored to be the second-year receiver out of LSU that's on the Jacksonville Jaguars. So that's another guy to pay attention to that might get moved. There's back and forth on those rumors, but he had a down season, so I would say they're definitely taking calls.
Yeah. All right. Anything else on the NFL, Trev?
Let's go through the mock draft.
Okay. Yep. That's a NFL free agents, I guess. Yeah. I know you want to talk the mock draft. That's next on the list here.
So pull it up. Is there anything that sticks out to you? Top 5, top 10, your Bears, just anything that sticks out?
Let me click on it real quick. Just looking. So you've got Love going 4th. That's super high. I mean, I know we talked about this before, but that's super high for running back. I know he seems to be all world at everything. The only thing is, do you think there's any chance the Raiders trade or any of these teams trade down a little bit because someone needs something more than anybody's thinking right now?
Yeah, I mean, besides the Raiders, with the Linderbaum signing, that definitely tells me that they're probably drafting Fernando. But yeah, starting at 2 with the Jets through, I mean, anyone in the top 10, I think a lot of those teams are going to look to trade down and pick up extra draft capital. So you're just hoping another team wants to move up. I didn't do any trades just because that's, it's tough to predict. I mean, an hour before we got started, I had, the Vegas Raiders making a pick there at 14. Then I had to go back and put Baltimore in and kind of rearrange it. So trades are tough to predict. Obviously, Jeremiah Love, they've got Tony Pollard at running back. He got a little over 1,000 yards last season, but he's 29 going on 30, I think, and he's only got 1 year left of his deal. The Titans just signed a ton of free agents on defense, and that makes me think they're going to go maybe a little heavy on offense in the draft, and Jeremiah Love would be the best player available there to help Cam Ward out. I mean, Saul is a defensive coach, and defensive coaches like to play defense and then ball control, don't turn the ball over, run it. And I think Jeremiah Love with Tony Pollard as a backup would be a perfect start for year 2 of Cam Ward.
Yeah, and Tennessee just needs to get, they got a young quarterback. They think he's the franchise guy, but they don't know that yet. New coaching staff. And he's, as you said, he's a defensive guy. You want to take as much pressure off of Cam Ward as you can. And it's a great pick. And we'll see if Saleh can get it turned around.
Yeah, and then another one that might surprise people. I've got Caleb Downs dropping to number 10 to the Bengals. There's some rumors about some ligament damage or some wear and tear with his medicals. So I think he could go as high as 5 to the Giants. I think they'd be interested in him. But it just depends what each team thinks of his medical diagnosis. So there is a chance that Caleb Downs does fall between 10 and 13-ish, potentially, if enough teams are worried about it.
Yeah, and he is one stud football. He's one of those just football players. You don't go and start for Nick Saban as a true freshman in the defensive backfield very often and then transfer because your coach retires to Ohio State and just go be a stud for 2 more years. He's a stud football player. But if there's medical worries, then completely understandable. But true football player, he might be the number 1 guy in the whole draft.
Yeah, he can play just about anywhere in the defensive backfield. He can come up and help with the run. He's really talented. So that might be a little low for him. We'll know a little bit more once the draft gets closer. Pick 13, Blake Miller, offensive tackle to Clemson. Most guys have him in the 20s or the 30s. I think his stock is going to rise once we get close to the draft. Obviously, the Rams don't have a lot of needs right now, but they need to add some future offensive tackles. So I think Blake Miller is a guy to look at there. Caden Proctor I have dropping. There's some worries of Caden Proctor about his weight and character, and then also teams don't know if he's going to play tackle or guard. So I had Caden Proctor fall into Philadelphia at 23. Philly likes their Georgia and Alabama players.
Yeah, and he's probably a guard in the NFL, would be my guess. Kind of like Robert Gallery. He was the number 2 pick in the draft, tackle for the Hawks. But just it takes a special person to be a tackle in the NFL. And they are special people because they're studs. But he's maybe just a little bit too big to be a tackle. He's super athletic. But I think he's essentially going to be a guard. He's just a little bit too big to be the tackle, I think, and he's having a little trouble with his weight. I think I heard something. He got up to almost 290 pounds or 390 pounds this year. And that's too big to be a tackle. You got to be able to move. You got to go block Max Crosby and Trey Hendrickson.
Yeah, so
and Myles Garrett.
Yep, he's probably going to fall a little bit. 2 players that I have going in the first round that might not. We'll start with number 20, Dallas Cowboys. I've got Anthony Hill Jr., the linebacker. They need linebacker help. They actually got pretty good pressure rate last year from their pass rush. That's kind of a misconception with the Cowboys. They really need help at corner and linebacker. I'm still not convinced that Anthony Hill is not going to fall out of the first round. And then kind of a fun pick was number 30, the Denver Broncos, Eli Stowers, the tight end. Most people think he's a mid to late second. But I think Sean Payton's looking for his chess piece, his Jimmy Graham, his Taysom Hill, and Stowers. He's big, he's fast, he's got a wide catch radius. I could see the Broncos taking a little flyer there on a guy, maybe a tad early. But those are kind of my 2 fun guys that might sneak into the first round. I've got your Bears taking Caleb Banks, massive defensive tackle from Florida. He does have some injury concerns, but he's got a massive wingspan. Defensive tackle is also a need for him. So when you're picking at 25, sometimes you have to take some chances on guys because, this is not they're not picking in the top 10 like usual where you get more of a for sure thing. When you get down into these mid to late 20s, sometimes you have to take a chance on some guys.
Yeah, hopefully they hit. And I like your kind of outside the box thinking with Sean Payton. They're really good. If their quarterback is healthy, I for sure think they're playing in the Super Bowl, and you never know. So they're that close. He's a tinker. He is. He loved Tyson Hill in New Orleans, and just guys that can do multiple positions. He's a tight end, but he's a receiver. I mean, that's what he is. He's Dallas Clark. He's not your Brock Bowers that can do it all. And the 2 Bears ones, the blocker, the receiver, he's truly a receiving tight end, and he's really, really good, smart, played Vanderbilt. So you can line him up everywhere, and I'm sure he'll do just fine.
Yeah, absolutely. A couple other teams, the 49ers are kind of tough because Shanahan doesn't take offensive linemen in the first round. But I really think Caleb Lemieux, the offensive tackle out of Utah, might be a guy for them to take there. It might be time to take a first-round offensive lineman. Trent Williams, not potentially, he is holding out. So they may look to move him. If they lose Trent Williams, I mean, Shanny might just have to swallow his pride and take an offensive tackle in the first round for the first time since he was in Washington. Yeah, they drafted Trent Williams, I believe, was the last time. So right now I haven't taken McNeil Warren, hard-hitting safety out of Toledo. I think John Lynch will really like him. The Chiefs' second first-round pick. Most likely they'll probably go corner there, but I haven't taken Omar Cooper Jr., really talented receiver out of Indiana. They need just a steady guy that is not going to cause headaches and is a valuable receiver. Rashee Rice, he's still got more off-the-field stuff going on. Xavier Worthy's kind of a gadget player, so they probably go corner there or defensive back, but I do have them taking a defensive back not too much longer at pick 40 with their second-round pick. So you could kind of swap those, but I do think they need to add another receiver, and I really like Omar Cooper Jr. He's one of my favorite receivers in this draft.
So then, and no Hawkeyes or Cyclones in the first round, right?
Nope. The first Hawkeye comes off the board at pick 50, getting Dunker, going to the Detroit Lions. Now, he's projected to be a tackle or a guard as well. He can kind of play both. So since Detroit didn't take a tackle in the first round, I haven't taken an offensive lineman in the second. We know they like their Iowa guys, and they take him just a couple picks before the Green Bay Packers, which I think they would take Giddings Dunker as well. The first Cyclone I have coming off the board at 56, Dominique Orange, defensive tackle. And that's about where I've seen him picked is around 50 to 70-ish, give or take.
Yeah, he's a mid to late second round or third round guy, and that's the best guy from Iowa State that's in the draft. So it's about right. And Jennings Dunker was at that Zach Bryan concert. I did see a picture of him there. So we like him already. I know I can cheer for him now that he's not a Hawkeye anymore.
Well, he's got the mullet, and I saw that picture online, so that was awesome. He's already a fan favorite. I know he's on the Rich Eisen show and some others talking about Culver's and the mullet and the red hair. He's a fan favorite. He might go a little higher than 50. People may fall in love with him. I'm trying to think of what else. Oh, Ty Simpson. I have him going 34 to the Arizona Cardinals. More than likely, he'll go in the first round because teams get desperate for quarterbacks. But again, since I'm not doing trades, I have
somebody will trade up to get him late first, don't you think?
Yeah, because you get that fifth-year option if you trade into the first. So more than likely, I mean, Arizona could be that team. They could trade up to number 21 of Pittsburgh if the Steelers don't like him and don't want to take a quarterback this year. They could drop down to 34, pick up an extra draft pick for next year, and then Mike McCarthy could get his quarterback of the future in next year's draft as well. So it's more than likely Ty Simpson will probably go kind of like Jackson Dart did last year, somewhere in that range.
Yeah, I know he wanted to leave. A little bit, he got pushed out of Alabama. Like, go. But you would have thought maybe he would have just went to another college and got paid a lot of money and proven it. But maybe he thinks his draft stock is as high as it's ever been. But I just was a little perplexed because he was good, but he wasn't phenomenal to leave early.
Yeah, he started out really good, and then he faded. Now, they had no run game, so I think that didn't help him at all. And he's only got, 15 or 16 starts. Earlier this year, I thought he had more than that. So that few starts is also a red flag. But I thought Miami might take a look at him somewhere in the first, but since they brought him Malik Willis, they're kind of out. The Colts have their quarterback. The Jets are waiting for next year. The Jets have 3 first-round picks in next year's draft. So you got Arch Manning, Moore out of Oregon, Mayab out of USC, Sam Levitt out of LSU now, Lenore Sellers out of South Carolina. There's next year should be a really good quarterback draft. So, but typically somebody gets desperate and somebody will trade up to the end of that first round, and Ty Simpson will be that guy. But if he does fall into the second, I think it'd be tough for the Cardinals to pass on him there at 34.
They need just some stability. Who's their coach now? Do they I don't even know his name.
LaFleur.
LaFleur's brother went there. Yeah, that's right.
Yep.
So, So what's it's not Matt. What's his Mike?
Mike.
Yeah. So offense will be there. Just they're an organization, kind of like the Browns and the Bengals, that just can't quite figure it out for whatever reason. Whatever they do seems to be wrong. They signed Kyler Murray to a big contract, but have to put in you can't play video games. It's like, remember that?
Yeah, that's obviously not good. So yeah, with a team like the Jets that have 3 first-round picks next year, that they'll find a way to screw it up. And everybody, when they got Geno Smith, everybody's like, "Well, congratulations on the number 1 pick and getting Arch Manning." And I responded, "Well, that's great. Doesn't mean Arch is playing for you. If the Jets get the number 1 pick and they select him,
he's not going there.
He's not going there. No way.
No. He'll do just like his uncle did.
Yeah, they'll do just like they did with Eli, and he'll get traded to some other team. I'm sure they'd want to get traded to the Rams if Stafford retires. If they win the Super Bowl, that would be the Rams would have to give up a hell of a lot, though, because if they win the Super Bowl, obviously they're picking 32. You'd have to give up an additional probably 3 first-round picks after that, plus whatever. So, but yeah, anyway, if the Jets get the number 1 pick next year and it is Arch Manning, I definitely think we're going to have an Eli situation 2.0 happening.
Yeah, I just don't see any way they allow him to go to the Jets. No, I think there's a couple other teams that are not going to let him play for either.
The Steelers would be another team that he'd probably want to go play for. That's a well-run organization. Mike McCarthy. I've got him taking Mekhi Lemon, and they also traded for Pittman yesterday. So they're going to have a 3-headed monster receiver. I think there's going to be a culture shift with the Steelers, and that they're going heavy offense. And it's been a defense-first team forever. And with Mike McCarthy coming in, there's a switch now, and they're going heavy on offense, which I think is needed. They need a little shakeup like that.
Yeah, I think they do. I think you're 100% right there. They just need a shakeup. McCarthy's not in it for the long haul. Obviously, he's an older guy, but just a reset for 5 years, and then you can go hire your next Mike Tomlin, Bill Cowher, Chuck Noll, that can be there for 20 years if he's successful.
Absolutely, and we'll see what happens with Aaron Rodgers. But the thing with the Steelers is they can't keep waiting. Rodgers needs to get him a decision here soon, and if he doesn't, they just have to conduct themselves like he's retired. And like I said, they'll make a trade for a quarterback, go with Will Howard, see how the season goes, and then try to get QB of the future next year.
Yep, I 100% agree with that. All right, anything else, Trev?
No, that's it. I mean, any other picks you see that stick out? We talked about your Bears.
Yeah, I think it's good over the next month till the draft. I don't think there'll be a lot of shocking stuff anymore, like the Crosby deal. But the week before the draft, there's going to be some movement, and players will sign, trade, retire. I think if you're the Steelers, you got to know by the draft, don't you? You just have to.
Oh, absolutely, and they'll probably make a trade for a quarterback before then too.
Right.
They've just got Will Howard right now, as far as I know, and Mason Rudolph. I don't know where he's at actually. I know Trubisky signed with Tennessee. Gardner Minshew's at Arizona now. There's a few others out there, but they've got to have a plan. And then if Rodgers doesn't give him a decision here soon, if he makes a decision in a month from now, and they've got the cap room and the roster room to bring him back, great. If not, they might just have to tell him thanks for your services and enjoy going to the Vikings.
Kyler Murray and Aaron Rodgers.
Yeah, and we'll see what happens with Kyler. Those are kind of the two guys left. Obviously, Kirk Cousins is out there, but
there's your three Viking quarterbacks. Just cut JJ McCarthy.
Those three are all wanting to be the future, or at least for next season, wanting to be the Vikings quarterback.
Absolutely, I know that all three of them do. Absolutely.
And the Vikings can only really bring in one, so we'll see who the Vikings choose of those three if it comes down to it.
Yeah. Okay. So just kind of a reminder, we will be here Sunday. I can't tell you exactly what time. It will be after selection show. So we know where the Hawkeyes will go. We know where the Cyclones will go, and we'll know where UNI is going. Do want to just touch UNI real quick. Great run. Ben Jacobson, first time in the dance in 10 years. Great to see 4 wins in 4 days, and a great guy that stuck it out at a mid-major Cedar Falls. Now, he's not hurting himself. He's making $1 million or more in Cedar Falls, Iowa. So he's doing very well for himself, but stuck it out. Hasn't always been pretty, but pulled it out down in St. Louis. Great win for the program, and we will see them as a probably 12 or 13 seed. So we're talking, 5-12 game. That's always an upset, and then a 4-13. They're usually not an every year upset situation, but they do happen.
Yeah, hell of a job by them. He's a legend there, and I'm hoping they get a 12 seed because, like you said, every year we get a 12 that upsets a 5 just about. So I am hoping that they get that 12 seed. And looking at Selection Sunday, the men's show starts at 5 Iowa time, and then the women's selection show is followed at 7 Central Time. So we'll probably go 7 to 8. We'll probably need a little bit of time to kind of do our early prediction. So maybe we'll probably go sort of to a normal time.
Yes, yeah. So kind of around 9:00 Sunday night, and then we'll talk that time about when we're going to go before, because if things don't go well, there would be maybe a chance that Iowa could fall into that play-in game if they would lose tomorrow to Maryland. I don't think so, but you never know how things work out. And then there's a real possibility the Iowa State women are in the play-in game for them. They're just falling on hard times, and it's not going well right now for the Cyclones. So tune in Sunday night, roughly 9:00. Let's just kind of plan on 9:00 as of right now, and it's a great time of year. There's basketball on every day. You can turn on from 11:00 till midnight today until Saturday night, and then Sunday there's only a couple games, and then we'll start again Thursday morning, nice and early. We'll find out if Iowa State or you and I are playing on Thursday or Friday, and we'll be tuned in. And Trev, I think I sent you the links. We're going to do a survivor pool. I just found that one, and we'll figure that out. And it's going to be interesting to do that one, and then obviously regular brackets as well.
Yeah, that survivor pool should be fun. We'll talk more about that. Obviously, you got to pick a team each day, and then once you get down to Sweet 16, you got to pick a team each round. So it sounds kind of easy at first, but once you get down that Final Four, that's usually the 1s and 2 seeds, and sometimes a 3 or whatever. But so you don't want to use all those top seeds right away.
Nope. You can't leave Duke, and then Duke gets beat in the Sweet 16. And you're like, oh no. So that's really what I'm going to use. Well, Houston, I'm going to use Michigan. I'm a little worried. Oh crap, Duke lost. Now I have to pick, the 6th seed that won it. An Ole Miss or someone that's the 6th seed, and then you're praying for another upset. Not good.
Yeah, not good. But I'm looking forward to it. I've never done Survivor Pool in March Madness. I think it's going to be really fun. Yeah,
so it'll be good. So, so like I said, send that to people that that want in, and as many entries as people want, and we'll figure it out. It'll be fun.
All right. Well, everybody enjoy this week of basketball, and you and I will talk Sunday night after Selection Sunday, and we'll see where everybody's playing, times, and all that good stuff.
All right. We'll see you. Thanks, Trev.
Have a good night.